Young Choe in the house.
Young Choe.
Young Choe. What?
I've been so excited for this for so long.
Right?
Since we spoke, I've been very excited for this live stream.
Right. One of the most interesting aspects of bonsai to me is the depth of this art form. You've got the trees, obviously, whether you're a grower or a collector. You've got the ceramics, whether you're making them or using them. You've got the stands. And then on top of that, you've got this wonderful amendment to bonsai, or a standalone piece on its own, which is Kusamono. And the ability for Kusamono to tell more of the story, speak to the season, speak to the environment, and a multitude of other things is still a really untouched portion of what we do. And Young's here to help all of us learn a little bit more, me included, because you were here how long ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, Young came, made some beautiful Kusamono for us.
They needed a haircut.
And I have officially, I've officially failed at taking care of them very well, much to Young's displeasure and disapproval. So she's going to help us tonight understand how you create Kusamono, how you improve Kusamono, and how you continue to maintain Kusamono. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over. Young, do what you do, and we're excited to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. So I'm working at the National Arboretum, but very first time, about 20 years ago, I started volunteering at the U.S. National Arboretum in Washington, D.C. And I always wanted to learn more about the accent plant for the bonsai, because I work at the Bonsai Museum. And one day I find out Mrs. Keiko Yamane, she is a student of the Saburo Kato. She studied from bonsai too. And she's the one who master of the Kusamono artist. So I went to Japan and learned this art form from her.
What is Kusamono? Like, what's
Kusamono
the history
is
of it?
Wildflower and grass in the pot. Kusa is the grass and wildflower and grass. Mono is thing. That's wildflower and grass bonsai.
You said wildflower and grass.
And grass.
And
yeah.
mono means in Japanese thing,
Mm-hmm.
but just like literally thing.
Yeah.
And why? Where did Kusamono come from? Like, how did bonsai? They brought trees from the mountains, bring the environment closer. Mm-hmm. Kusamono have a similar spirit and purpose?
Yeah, I was curious too, so I searched it and tried to find out when they started this art form and how they started. And I saw the lots of woodblock print, the Japanese old woodblock print that shows the little wildflower in the pot. It seems like pretty same as bonsai started long ago.
Okay, similar.
Yeah.
Cool, very cool.
And what's the difference between is there a difference between Kusamono and like a bonsai accent plant? Or is that the same thing?
Kusamono usually actually it's by itself. Sometimes usually kind of bigger,
Sure.
yeah. But it can be small too, like this.
So Kusamono is usually displayed
display
alone.
its own, yeah.
Okay. Whereas accent plants.
Yeah, accent plant is for the bonsai, or we can call shitakusa, the bonsai,
the grass under bonsai, right? Yeah, shitakusa.
Yeah, shitakusa.
So, are there Kusamono shows like there are bonsai shows? Just for Kusamono?
Are there Kusamono exhibitions in Japan?
My teacher, she does exhibition twice a year, spring and fall, just to Kusamono.
Okay.
So she showed that beautiful art form displayed in the temple area. It's really nice in front of the Japanese embassy. And and also,
so they do.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Austria this June. They have bonsai and Kusamono show. So it's not only bonsai, it is not the Kusamono for the bonsai. It's itself too. They display bonsai and also Kusamono exhibit. That is really nice too.
So when we think about some of the big ones for bonsai, who's some of the big names for Kusamono?
My teacher,
Keiko
Yamane.
Yamane.
Nice.
She's wonderful. And I like her work because her work is very natural looking, the natural setting. That's
Yeah, when
what
we
I like
spoke, you
about.
mentioned that she pioneered a new style of Kusamono, this more natural environment, really taking things from native plants and pairing it, or just like a more wild style as opposed to a more manicured style. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
We're,
That's definitely how we like to do it here.
Definitely. we're full on bogarting Young's time.
Yeah.
We're gonna let you work, Young. Take us through the process.
So today I will make one kusamono in the broken pot. This is very interesting pot, unique. I don't know how it come out, how I can put it in this place, but I like to try this. And also I will do maintenance, how to taking care of this. So 2 years ago, 1 month before, in April, 2 years ago, I created about 30?
Yeah, probably 30.
Kusamono for Orion. So can we show the picture of what I did 2 years ago? So this is the Kusamono plant. So I was really excited that time. One side, the Kusamono plant. And the other bench, Ryan has wonderful pots, beautiful, great pots. It's the other side, the whole pots that I can use. And there's some soil I am going to use. So that's what I created 2 years ago.
Before you transition away from the soil,
Yeah.
what kind of soil do you use? What is this?
Usually most of potting soil,
Okay.
but I adding akadama and kanuma small granule.
For any kusamono, you're adding those to potting soil?
Yes,
Okay.
those two, and also crushed the horticulture charcoal.
Charcoal.
I added some charcoal. And it depends on plants. Some plants need more drainage. I add some sand or some others. And I also making muck, using muck to make moss ball.
Okay. We'll talk more about soil as you get going, okay?
Right. So this is the outcome of the Kusamono. I created over 30 beautiful Kusamono with that. I worked 3 days just morning to dark. It was so excited and
You
fun.
get into your work very focused.
Yes, I did. I had really enjoyed it. But today when I came, look at the picture of today's Ryan Mills Kusamana.
This is I take full responsibility for the degraded quality of our kusumono. It's coming up here pretty quick. Hang on, wait for it because it's pretty devastating.
So that is kind of typical, even mine too. If you don't really work on just even few months, they grow. Some plants is pretty wild, so you have to maintain and taking care of it. But good thing is he didn't really kill the plants that I planted. Only one that actually is really not easy to grow in the pot. There was a lupine, but most of them he made them survive. So today, since this morning, I clean up and took care of them. But when I work taking maintenance, I separated one by one, check this, and just to simply clean up one side that I can do easily, and the other one is, it seems not really worked out. Some plants maybe die out, doesn't work out well, or some grow too vigorous and take over the pot. Those kind of I want to do redesign that put aside. I put it aside, and then something that doesn't work out and I don't like the way I created, that I just kind of take that out. So
you do have pieces that you come back to and you say, yeah, I don't really like, maybe your thought has changed or you've seen the way that the combination isn't or is not working the way you thought and you changed it.
Yes.
A lot like a bonsai.
All the time, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm from Mid-Atlantic area, Washington, D.C. area. But here, I researched a lot about plants this area. And I created with whatever I can get. We went to the lots of places, gathered all the plants. Some plants is kind of grow a little different than where I live. So I find out kind of some more interesting information from where I'm working. So that's maintenance. And then I will show you how to taking care of. So for example, this one, I didn't touch anything. So I will show you how to taking care of this. So this is,
Yes, please.
Ryan, listen.
so this one, I will show you this later.
So tonight we're going to create
Yeah,
some new compositions.
so I'm going to create it first and
Yeah.
show you how to maintain. There is a step-by-step to do that one. So I will show you all the detailed information about how to taking care of those. And then I'm going to do one redesign. One of the Kusamono, actually several of them that I like to do, but I will, time-wise, I'm going to change one of them. If I have more time, can do make moss ball. I really love this flower. The sea head is really pretty too. Like,
what is the flower?
this is where is it? Persitilla. I wanted to have this for a long time. It's kind of common in Asia, but I saw lots of them here in the nursery. So I made a moss ball for this one.
Nice. I think everybody will probably want to see a moss ball. So you take all the time you want.
Yeah, I want to see a
I want to see a moss ball.
Let's do
See
it.
a moss ball.
So that's what I'm going to do. First, I will make this.
Young, you
Yeah.
mentioned the different types of soil you used.
Yeah.
It was potting soil, akadama, and then what was the other one?
Kanuma. I use
Kanuma?
lots of kanuma because I'm using lots of moss. Like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's for like the moss
like
balls.
acidic soil.
Kanuma.
So when I'm making soil mix, I always checking pH too. So
Awesome.
check them. Yeah,
Cool.
try to make about 6.5. 7 is neutral, but
Slightly
that's what I'm.
acidic soil.
Yeah, so I put kanuma.
Kanuma.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
So this is the potting mix I made earlier. Just basically potting soil. But if you have a potting soil that has lots of big chunk of the pine bark, you have to sift it to take the big pieces out because we are working with kind of small containers. So I like to have that this way. So this one is just basically potting soil and akadama and kanuma.
So just kind of to clarify on the kanuma, Young was saying the kanuma is how she adds acidity
Right.
to the compositions, right? So moss, typically moss likes
Yeah.
acidic conditions. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
they
saying?
typically moss. And some of the plants love the acidic
Soil, pH,
soil.
yeah. Yeah. So typically in bonsai, you would see that used with azaleas.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
that
right.
would be kind of your azalea mix for
Yeah.
acidity.
Is it like related to flowering type stuff, or is that just
I
depends
think
on the plant?
I think it's related to plants that really prefer a lower pH, which
Yeah.
would be a more acidic pH.
Yeah, blueberry, hackberry, or lots of plants. I think 6.5 is pretty good pH for the.
Tanya wants to
some-
know if there's an alternative to kanuma in the U.S.
Big
Wow.
question, Tanya.
Yes.
Big question.
But you don't have to use just basically, if you are a beginner, just simply potting soil. You don't really need to put that
So there's
on.
no alternative
Yeah.
in the U.S., but
No,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, even mock soil. These days, I think more bonsai vendors selling more and more mock soil. So this is good.
mock soil.
But it was hard to find.
What is muck soil?
The sticky, very rich, organic, dark, muddy soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
De-
That-
decomposing organic.
Right.
Sticky.
So that is, so I can make this kind of ball, moss ball.
Cool. Do you know where you get muck? Anybody that you lean on for a good resource for muck?
Yeah, most bonsai nurseries, I think they carry
Okay.
these one. So we can start with this one. So whenever you start creating kusamono, you have to find where is the front of this one. So I like to use this one, but not just to front, a little bit slanted, something maybe like this. Ryan can use just itself, or maybe he can use these two pieces together, or by itself for some small one if he needs. So you can use either way.
I think you should use them both.
Both. That would be good.
I think so. I'm
So-
not trying to complicate things.
Yeah.
though.
So if I use both, something like this, it doesn't matter the viewpoint one.
No, Arthur's got you taken care
Yeah.
of.
So I will make something like this. Okay. So first, plant. Finding plant is always challenging for me. It's really hard because most nursery has big pot of the plant. So I hope we have some kusamono more. I know there is a few of them that try to grow and sell the kusamono material, but I wish there is more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So these are, I kind of find out, maybe I can. Usually I start from tallest one first, or main.
Is there like a certain number of plants you usually
Yes,
use?
I like to use odd number better than even number.
An odd number.
Yeah, odd number.
Why is that?
It looks better composition-wise. It's better looking. Yeah.
Is
But-
that like a general rule, or is that something you've just
no.
kind of
Some people
learned?
really kind of think we have to do it. Then usually I add this kind of salaginella or little fun, something to add. But it's okay. I just do as much it works. So this one has about 5 different plants in here, but I'm not really sure. I'm going to use this very
5 in
much.
this one.
And how do you select what
Select-
plants you're going to combine? How does that process happen
So,
for you?
Texture, height, color. So, I mean, texture of the plant, leaves or color. So, for example, green. I want to have add some different color like this. Different if I do, and I don't. It's okay to use both, but I don't want to put 2 flower blooming same time competing each other. When I create kusamono, I always thinking whole season, spring, summer, fall, winter, whole season, and also I'm thinking next year how it looked like and following year.
Nice.
For example, saxifrage I created today. When I buy that plant, it was pretty spiky, like this tall. So when I put it on the pot, it looks beautiful flower, but when you water properly, really flat, it's not really stable and pretty. But when I plant it, I think it'll be much nicer next year, and following year could be even better. It is. It's very short right now, and flower is budding. It'll be really nice. But some part you didn't rotate it. You probably rotated all your bonsai, but never rotated kusamono.
I didn't know I was supposed to.
It's supposed to
So-
rotate.
I didn't get the memo.
So one side it grew pretty well, and behind it didn't get much his sun, so it's kind of die out. Looks kind of a little bare spot is in the back. So I put something in the front and then put plant in the back, so it looks better, look evenly. And it would be really nice to rotate it so they can get sun all around, so it looks nice.
So you mentioned texture, color,
Texture,
height.
color, height, something broad leaf
Broad
like
leaf.
this, same broadleaf doesn't really look something like this together, or so just to play around how they look nice. And like this kind of pot, you cannot really put the taproot kind of plant. So something shallow, and also something drought tolerant, because this one doesn't really hold water much.
And you chose plants specifically native to this area.
That would be nice, but it doesn't really necessary. But I like to use
like using
native.
that.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
to use native, and it's sometimes a little challenge to put it in the pot. But some native plants works very well. Some doesn't work well. So I will start from here.
I have a question.
Shoot, Troy.
Fired, T-Roy.
So, okay, so we know the ones that you have up on the table there are already in bloom, they're flowering.
Yeah.
So if one was to go to the nursery now and buy some that aren't flowering, how do you know when it flowers? Does it say on the tag so that you don't mix them up? Or?
Because I study horticulture, so I know most of them, but I research a lot too. Most of them I know right away, but you should kind of, there is always, is it shows when they bloom? Spring. So that would be nice to have all kind of different season flower in it.
So you probably want to find one that says spring and then summer and then fall.
Yeah, summer usually kind of grass,
Little
but
bud
some
there.
flower too. And the other one, I will show you the maintenance thing that shows I put 8 different plants in the pot. So that you probably enjoy the whole season.
Young, we have a question from the chat. Mike and Pauline want to know about compatible growing requirements, like between all the plants that you are creating. Do some of them not grow well together, or do some of them like outcompete each other? Is that something you think about when you're making kusamono?
Yeah.
You're like, yes.
Some are, really. So problem I have is I really wish there is always idea and wish plant list that I wish I could get those plants.
Right.
But it's very hard. Even I visited one nursery here, doesn't really have material I wanted to have. So I have to work it out with whatever I have right now. So this is not actually ideal material I'm using it, but I try to use that's something that best thing I can choose from whatever I have right now.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're going through that process of trying to choose the best one, what are some things you think about so that they grow well together? Are there certain, like a grass goes well with this, or are there rules in any way, or does it just depend on the plant?
Yeah. So one of the grass, Luzula, I used that. Actually, that grass is really nice one to use, and my teacher used a lot too. And in my area, it's not that bad, but I find out that it really grow pretty bad here, so fast and so big and take over. And also the seed head spread all the seed to all other kusamono too, that I find out. So those kind of things, I took out completely out that grass because I don't want that happen.
Invasive, the seed spreading.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
So it depends on where you live too. Because in my area, that is not really a big issue. So when you work on this, I kind of try to make them wet. And this is the second plant I'm going to use.
How do you know? How do you know how much soil you can or can't take off? I mean, and I saw you pull that plant apart. What makes you pull one apart or leave it all together? How do you make these decisions?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, do your thing. Keep going.
I
Sorry.
was thinking something. This seems not really not easy. I wish I have some mock soil. Do you have some?
Sure.
You do?
You want some?
Can I have some? Yeah, please.
T-Roy, can you grab? It's underneath. It's on the bottom shelf in a akadama bag. It's already pre-mixed. Yeah.
The Pauline who just asked a question, she has lots of good mock soil too. I used hers. Works very well.
Mm. Who was that had the
Pauline?
Pauline Muth? Okay.
Brian has a question. Brian wants to know, should the Kusamono and the accent grass be from the same climate so they tell a story together?
Pardon me,
When you're creating Kusamono or an accent planting, do you tend to use things that are from the similar climate or environment
Yes.
so they tell a story together?
Yes, I do. So next week, I know this Saturday I'm going to do presentation and workshop at the Pacific Bonsai Museum. At the place, I'm going to talk about that. So one bonsai and what kind of plants grow that environment, and especially the tree that we're from. So there's all possibility plants, and I pick out of that list the best one or available to use. So that presentation I'm going to talk this Saturday at the Pacific Rim. It shows all that information, each tree. I'm going to do 14 different bonsai. I'm going to create Kusamono for the bonsai in the same environment, same area.
And so you do some research for these trees,
did.
researching the ecosystems, what plants grow in that area.
Right. And some plants, even though I like to use, it's really hard to transplant, or they don't really, you can use it. There's so many beautiful wildflower out there, but some of them kind of not easy to, almost impossible to do it. But I will show you all those information at the presentation and workshop.
I was reading that
It
Kusamono
may be hard.
started from people who were collecting yamadori and just kind of grabbing like plants that were growing near the tree, or maybe even in the container when they collected it, and then taking that apart after they were repotting it, and then that was like how accent plants started.
That's the idea. That's the best way.
The best way, yeah.
Right.
Taking it from the container of collection, or that's really interesting.
So for example, this is really easy. It's very shallow root, and they are kind of drought tolerant. You can easily use this one and this one. But anemone made not easy to work with. I wish I have some other little better plants too. And also this Oregon, this is Irish one. Saxfrage is always really nice. Pretty flower and drought tolerant. This one is just I found from somewhere in the backyard. Maybe I can use this one too. Oops. To use this one, saxfrage instead anemone. I may put a little bit of this, but it seems not really works well. If I use something like this hackberry, maybe I can use one of this too. Let's do this. So springtime, it's okay to take off the soil and cut it out the roots. So springtime is kind of nice time to create Kusamono. But summertime, when you do this, don't cut too much roots.
What is this plant that you're handling right now?
It's hackberry.
Hackberry?
So this kind of berry, if I want to use the shrub, I like to tie them so it cannot move around.
So it's so interesting, Kindle. You know, like it's interesting because I didn't know and don't know much about Kusamono. You know, Mr. Kimura had a lot of shitakusa, which, you know, in Japan, the shitakusa for bonsai professionals are what they display with the tree. That for conifers, and particularly for, you know, conifer dominant nurseries, they have a lot of shitakusa to be able to express seasonality, because the conifer looks the same throughout the course of the season.
Right.
So in an exhibition, you know, Mr. Kimura had an impeccable collection of shitakusa, but he never really like taught us about them, and we didn't.
Did he maintain them himself?
He maintained them, and we maintained them, but we maintained them, I would say, we probably did bare minimum to maintain them, and the quality of the shitakusa that he had was based on the sheer age, you know, like just accumulation of age in a container. And I guess like until, you know, hearing from Young or even tonight, just hearing Young speak about the fact that you need to rotate them, that you need to maintain them, that sometimes the container doesn't work, or sometimes you have to replace plants, or sometimes you look at your composition and it's not working aesthetically the way you wanted it to. It was like the first time for me, having worked with these things my entire, you know, bonsai career, that I was like, oh man, these are like a bonsai tree. It's not like this is some static thing, and I don't know why that concept.
That never clicked.
It just didn't. It wasn't in my mind, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is way cooler than I thought.
Yeah.
Like it just took another step up in terms of priority of consideration. You're growing us, Young.
So this plant, this was in the pot, kind of they put too deep inside, in this kind of tall pot. So it's kind of not easy to work on, but I will put at least some little bit in there. I thought about put some more, but just a little bit.
So you're using the muck as a means to stabilize the plant?
Yes. Because since I'm using this kind of pot, just regular, if this is a regular pot, it doesn't really need it.
So in terms of that type of pot, you're talking about how shallow it is?
Yes.
Are you like anchoring the plant down to make sure it doesn't fall with your little pins, or?
Oh no.
You're just using
This one I did use the wire.
Used a wire.
Yeah.
The audience just wanted to know how you anchor the little plants down.
Okay. So with
So, Young, Tanya asked a really interesting question. She said, is there a size ratio of tree to accent plant that we should consider?
Sure, yes,
Really?
that's very important too.
Okay.
So I saw lots of the Kusamono, the bonsai. I went to many bonsai convention, and I see sometimes trees really big, but tiny Kusamono, the accent plants. That the portion is very kind of important. So yes, that is the yes.
So you don't want a plant that's too big, you don't want a plant that's too small. You just want a plant that's just right. So I mean, like, is there some kind of proportion? How do you know that a kusamono or shitakusa is right for a bonsai tree?
So I think if you you are making kusamono for certain bonsai, you have to think about So I'm making in general kind of. I'm not sure which tree you are going to use this for. So this one I don't know. But if you making kusamono or accent plants for your certain bonsai, you have to find the right pot, right size of the pot. And because if that bonsai has a rectangle shape of the pot, find something round or oval, not rectangle competing.
Don't duplicate those
So
elements.
contrasting.
No.
Nice.
Yeah.
And or size, that's a big one. You should find something bigger container.
Uh-huh.
And if that is some kind of Japanese pine, don't use try not to use the tropical plants. Many of the bonsais, sometimes they have to submit the accent plant, and they went to the nursery and find something pretty flower blooming. It's many times tropical. Tropical plants under the Japanese pine, it seems not really...
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, something like that.
Doesn't tell the right story.
Mm-hmm.
So this should give you guys a better idea from the top down of kind of inside. And then, Young, there's a few questions in terms of how you anchor these into the pot, and also if you could just point out the plants that you've inserted into the pot. I know we've got the hackberry with the flowers. What are the other plants that you're working with, and how do you anchor them?
The other plants are kind of easy. They are not real. They have kind of very small roots, not really vigorous. So I can just put them on, place first, and then use muck soil to kind of press down to stay up. So
do you use wire? You use wire to tie the
first.
You use wire to tie the hackberry in? Is that what you did?
Only hackberry I did.
Because it's upright.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So this is the muck soil.
Okay.
Yeah. So very rich, nice, good one.
And then Rich asked an interesting question. He said, what are the design concepts, if any, that go into the composition you're creating? For example, is this equivalent to, in terms of creation of asymmetry in the composition, or directional insinuation? So, similar to how a bonsai exists, are you creating direction? Are you creating asymmetry in the composition?
That's a really good question.
So, would you explain kind of again?
Do you have an even distribution of plants through the container, or do you visually weight the composition to one side or the other to give it a direction, visual direction?
Direction. You mean with the bonsai or just itself?
Just as you're arranging them, are you trying to create a direction? Is
yes,
the container...
always actually. I'm sorry. So there's many different. It depends on plants and size of a pot or shape of the pot. Or size maybe not matter, but shape of the pot. This one I tried to make this kind of they harmonize together like something. So I'm making this one kind of forward this way, and this one kind of tucking back to the other side.
Nice.
But sometime I can put this flower in this anemone in the middle of the round pot. That doesn't really need to. Or sometime if that has, this one doesn't really have, but long, nice branch, looks really nice. If there is a really long, nice branch, I use that directions to wherever I like to use. So when you display with the bonsai, so the tree is the main, and this is the Kusamono, and they should kind of harmonize together, not against each other.
That kind of like move towards each other.
Move toward each other. So sometimes I see the display with the bonsai, kind of, and every plant has a face in it. So it's better to, if there is a simple, just regular one, you can put in the front face like this, or put kind of toward to the bonsai.
Okay.
So that is more like display.
Gotcha. So you're using some of the length to create that directionality.
Yes.
And you're using the container's shape to create directionality.
That's right.
So there's a lot of different elements that are playing into this design. Interesting. Is seasonality or location, like expressing region or expressing the season, which one do you think, is there a priority for the Kusamono in display?
So for Kusamono, so like pine tree, when you display pine tree bonsai, without Kusamono, it's all same season, same green. You cannot really tell seasonality. But if you use Kusamono, something accent plants like this, you can tell, oh, hackberry start blooming or already bloom, or fruits. You can see the season, or this anemone usually blooming springtime, or you can use the summer or fall, different thing. That shows seasonality for the bonsai. So I think accent plant that is the, I think, main thing for bonsai. Show the
seasonality is priority. Yeah, that's very beautiful, particularly for conifers, right? Where you don't get that. And then if there is that continuity of region with it as well, it just further deepens the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And then the size and shape of an accent versus the bonsai tree, you talked about that already, but what about a glazed pot or container versus unglazed? How Dan asked, are there any rules to glazed versus unglazed pots?
I don't like rules.
Neither do we.
I hate that. I hate that word. With a passion.
I think it depends the person. That someone who like glaze, someone who unglaze, or it depends. I think that is all not really. That is a rule too, but I don't like too shiny the pot. Usually, I like to use something little earthy or not too shiny.
Gotcha. You like a little more organic.
Yes, yes. That's why I like this pot.
P.S. This looks badass, by the way.
Who made this pot?
Yeah, who made this?
This is Jan Rintenar.
Jan,
right down the street from
Shout
Bonsai
out.
Mirai.
Oh, yes.
Portland,
Jan, we
local.
love you.
Yeah.
Well, St. Helens local.
St. Helens, like literally Bonsai Mirai local.
Bonsai
almost.
Mirai,
Yeah.
down the street local.
Yeah, Jan's Goods. If you guys are like this kind of organic form and texture, her containers are actually wood fired in an onigama kiln, which is an arched kiln that runs up a hillside so that the heat and flame travels uphill. And she fires her work with a group of ceramicists in the oldest onigama kiln in the United States. And it's down outside of Corvallis, Oregon, and you see the wonderful colors. None of that is glazed.
What kind of kiln?
It's called an onigama kiln. And it basically,
Is this like a Japanese style kiln?
it's a wood-fired kiln that's originated in China.
And
then moved to Japan. And it's an arched kilnway that runs up a hill. It's on an actual hillside so that you get the heat moving up the hill.
Oh, wow.
Through the arch. And the ash and the heat is what's giving all of these different color variations. And if you notice the lighter kind of whitish, almost it looks like glaze, that's actually soda that they place on a wood board and they drop into the tinder box where they load the wood. And that soda takes off into the kiln, and any really hot ceramic surface that it touches, it melts instantly and forms that almost glaze-like appearance. So
Wow.
it's a really, really special firing process. And Jan Rintenar is probably one of the only ceramicists that I know of in the United States that's making bonsai ceramics in an onigama kiln. But then beyond that, the oldest onigama kiln, which when you start talking about quality of kilns, the older the kiln, the more seasoned it is. Which means the more impact the kiln melts. Like if you looked at the inside of the arch of the kiln, it would almost look like it was covered in glass. Because all of the bricks melt together.
Firing upon firing.
Firing upon firing upon firing. And so this kiln...
How does that affect the pots?
Well, I mean, a lot of times the really interesting pieces that she gets are from the kiln physically melting onto her pieces.
Wow.
And the drips that form off of the edges of her pieces, turn into these like glass jewels that can be purple or green or blue.
From previous firings.
From previous
wow,
firings.
That's really interesting.
And the interesting thing is every firing in the kiln is different. So like a spring firing when the ground is really moist will create entirely different colors and entirely different textures on her ceramics than a firing that happens in the summer or
Really
fall.
seasonal process.
So literally when you say one of a kind, it's not just one of a kind like shape, it's one of a kind like
In terms of time.
you
and-
can never create one of her pieces again. And these were two pieces that she brought up here and said, hey, if there's ever somebody really talented at Kusamono, I would be so happy if they would use these. And
Here we go.
I immediately thought about Young. I was like, we got to set these aside for Young.
There are so many wonderful potters around. And these days, I think more and more potter making Kusamono patu. And especially the native show we are going to working on, Vicky Chamberlain, she's going to make all the pot for the show too.
Who is that?
Vicky?
Vicky.
Is this Vicky Chamberlain?
Yeah.
Vicky Chamberlain from Medford, Oregon?
Yes.
Shout out to Vicky. We love you, Vicky. Pauline is joining us on the chat, Young. She said they have a group that uses an onigami kiln in upstate New York to create accent pottery.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then Adam asked, can you tell us more about how plants have faces? So you talked about kind of that directionality and that face. And I think people, maybe as we kind of see your composition come together, you can talk a little more to that.
So I don't like to use this kind of like this way. It's kind of boring. I want to tilt a little bit like this way. So that's what I choose the front. But since I have another one, let me see how it looks like from the front. Oh, I see. I see kind of a little different. So I put it in here now, but after I put it in the moss, everything will kind of really direction that I want to use. So now I still working on, but maybe I can show you later. This one should go this way a little bit, and let me see. It depends on how you use, but something like this.
Nice.
They kind of look at each other.
Super sexy.
Oh, wow.
That is.
Super sexy.
It's very nice.
Yeah, I didn't finish everything yet, but you will see later all the finished.
Yeah, I can see how they're looking at each other. Would you set them back up again, just so we can? Because
Okay,
we just zoomed in on
Can
the.
you, yeah,
so
and
the
then
viewers
can you
see.
show where the plant faces are that you're kind of talking about? Like you're touching that tall hackberry. Is that insinuating a direction?
This way. How was it?
And then you can see how the one in front is
So
facing
yeah,
that one.
you cannot make like this, right? This is not purely, even though this is the front.
Sure,
Yeah,
they're facing each other.
facing each other is nice.
So it's like the direction they're looking at the sun, almost.
So
And-
there is, I'm putting it on the moss right now. There's many different type of the moss, so many different.
I saw your platter of moss earlier.
Yes, I learned lots of moss, and I'm a member of the moss club.
This is like
that
moss
we-
heaven out here.
It is. But I'm very picky. I like to have certain moss,
With no
not
bugs.
any moss.
No bugs, right?
Oh no, it doesn't mean just a
We
bug.
had to do a bug check.
This kind of sheet, like this kind of moss, is really good for making moss ball. Kind of just
What
easily.
kind of moss is that?
Sheet moss. It's-
Sheet moss.
Yeah, sheet. So you can just wrap it up easily. And I like something, it's same as like bonsais to use, not spiky, cushiony. I don't like to use those kind of things. And also, if you use like this small pot, sometimes I see the moss in the small pot. Oh, there's actually little plant here. Like this, I got this one from somewhere.
That's
If
the
I
Swedish
put-
pot.
if
oh,
I
that's
put-
a Swedish pot.
The Swedish pot.
Yeah, yeah.
If I
Who is
put
that?
this little plant, this one will bloom a kind of blue kind of flower. If I use this one, like in this small pot,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, this moss it looks kind of natural looking, but sometimes I see with this kind of small plants in the small pot, but big spiky moss put it in, like this. So if you use a small pot and small plant, find the small, very short kind of moss. And if you use this kind of really long, long one.
Bug check. We didn't do a thorough bug check.
Bug check.
It doesn't look natural, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's
Who's
the
that
kind of
potter
sample.
again? That we just found out.
So that little accent pot that Young was using is a gentleman by the name of Thomas Gramming.
We just found this.
Yeah, we had
ceramicist.
a student from Sweden at Mirai last weekend, and he brought Thomas's pots as a gift. Joaquin, we appreciate the generous gift tremendously, and we liked him so much that we reached out to Thomas Gramming, and he's now going to be one of Mirai's ceramicists. We'll carry his work, and we're waiting on his ceramics to come in. He's amazing, absolutely amazing. Young, I've got a couple questions for you. Mm-hmm. How long can you keep Kusamono alive, and what do you need to do to extend their longevity? That bonsai guy asked that question.
So choosing right ones. Some plants live long, and some plants live short. So it depends on plants. Like this Salaginella or this fern grow very long, but maybe anemone couldn't be that long. So many people think Kusamono accent plant is live very short time. But at the Bonsai Museum, I create lots of, I think I'm the only one who creating and taking care of the accent plants for the Bonsai Museum in Washington, D.C. Some of them are more than 10 years in the same pot.
Wow,
I didn't even, repot it, some of them. Some I repotted but put it in the same pot. Yeah, many of them, but those are certain plants live very long.
With just meticulous pruning, and I would just imagine they would outgrow the
how do you
pot.
keep them? Yeah, how do you keep them alive?
So that's the plant. It depends on plants. Some plants live a long time, and some are not really. They cannot live long. Some of them are. So, and watering, always make them. If you miss the water 1 or 2 days, it's kind of especially in the small pot. They need more attention than bonsai.
Oh, Mr. Kimura used to say this. Mr. Kimura used to say, shitakusa or kusamono are far harder than bonsai to cultivate, and he had kusamono that had been in the same pot for 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, grasses, mondo grasses, and some of the ferns, and they would grow up out of the pot, and that root structure became the most interesting aspect of it because it was just showing so much age.
So Michael Hagedorn has lots of great kusamono. That is exactly, they grow and grow, kind of push up to the grow that way. And like Japanese mondo grass is very slow growing plants. Those kind of plants, they can be in the pot very long.
Slow growing plants.
Slow growing, and also drought. They are easy.
Drought resistant.
Some are really kind of. There are some plants is really kind of hard.
So then you can take a vacation and not worry.
Do you repot?
I do, yes.
You do? How do you know when to repot then?
So it's like bonsai. When you water them, water just run over, doesn't accept it. And kind of, push up. But some plants, it's really more show the character. So I just leave it. They still can take it.
Those would be drought-tolerant ones can grow up out of the pot.
Yes. So
more moisture-loving needs repotting when they stop getting water into the root system. It's just like a bonsai. That's great.
Yeah. So I always tell them this is kind of 50% horticulture, 50% art. So you have to know the plant. So the character of the plant is what it is. So you can take good care of them. And make them live longer.
So there's another question from Kathy Edgar, and she's saying, in creating accent plants, should the soil level be above the pot's rim?
Above?
Yeah, should it or can it be above the pot's rim? I'm just noticing because you're dealing with a shallow container, and you kind of, and the original, the moss ball that you were showing, a lot of times it seems like the soil is above the pot's rim. Is that kind of a standard, or is that just situational?
Yeah, situational.
Okay.
Depends on the pot. Some shallow pot, it can grow like, but it's covered with moss, so they will be okay.
Gotcha. And then there was another question from Brandon, and it said, if you have your choice, is it ideal to keep the composition in the container as long as possible, or to repot more frequently? So this is going back to that same question, but what is ideal to create a valuable?
I try not to repot too much if that is they are still adaptable to take the condition.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I will just leave it.
Beautiful.
But some plants can't take it. Then I need to repot it, redesign it. And when you keep this will need a lot of practice too. You can learn while you're working on.
What Colorado alpine species do you frequently use, prefer, or know of?
Ooh.
Young? This is from Adam.
Adam, I was going to say, did Adam ask that?
Adam's in Boulder, and he's a Mirai student that has some outstanding trees.
Colorado has wonderful wildflowers.
Yeah,
everywhere.
totally.
It's really beautiful. So I love traveling. I love hiking. I always look careful how they grow. Look at the wildflowers and grass, how they grow, what kind of plants they grow together, and taking a lot of pictures to kind of learn from. I learn from wild usually, and creating composition and plant. Colorado has really wonderful, lots of good materials. And also there's a lot good nurseries too.
Yeah.
What are some
He
of your
lives in Boulder. There is one of the nursery just has tons of great native small pot of the plants, and I used a lot of plants from there. And some I bring to my area. Some survived, some didn't at my area. But
do you have any Colorado favorites that you like?
You like columbine? You created some compositions
yeah,
with
I love
columbine
blue
here.
Classic.
columbine. Those are beautiful too. And sedum is kind of that area. Sedum is really
Sedum,
pretty
yeah.
too.
I
and
see a
they
lot
are
of sedum
eatable.
here as well.
Yeah, sedums are small one. They are nice too.
Would you be interested in doing a follow-up post for Colorado natives, since so many of the collected trees that we work with typically come from the Rocky Mountains?
Yep.
Could you give us a list, and maybe we can provide people with that list?
Okay.
Cool.
We can do that.
We'll follow up with you, Adam.
Yeah, that would be
Yep.
awesome.
So, quick question. I wouldn't do this, but if you've seen a native plant, is there do's and don'ts on how you would collect it so it would survive?
There is. There is.
It's a good question.
I think I kind of mentioned earlier, some of them you cannot transplant. They have certain microcosm to grow. They cannot adaptable easily. So those you have to know about the plants, what to collect, what to not. And especially you cannot collect from state or park, but still where is the available to collect. And also taproot plants. Some plants has long taproot. Even though you think you got the all the way bottom, those plants really hard to make it to. And it depends on plant, yes. So
it's better to purchase them from a native
purchase
plant
is
nursery.
the best, but it's hard to buy kind of sometimes, find something. You can collect some of them from wild, but nick, those kind of hard to you can dig up from the wild
roots.
but you can buy from little container. Those are.
I got a question from Peter, and he wants to know, do you fertilize
I
Kusamono?
do very lightly. I tend not to too much.
And what do you what do you use?
I use the fish emulsion or something very low.
Fish emulsion.
Or that organic, what is that called? That very subtle tea, like fertilizer
Like
tea.
a worm tea or something like that?
Oh,
Compost
yeah.
tea?
Yeah.
Interesting.
A worm tea. It's your favorite.
There you go.
So I think I don't know how much time I used. I don't.
you're
I
doing
needed
great.
lots of things
No, we're
to
hanging
talk
out.
about today.
Young, you're killing it.
So
Do you so when you create a composition like this, do you have a bonsai guy wants to know, do you have a tree in mind, or are you creating a composition as a Kusamono standalone piece?
yes, Kusamono. Oh, this one can be used bonsai too, but I didn't really think about something certain tree right
Gotcha.
now. I just create it with whatever plants I'm available this moment. It's not ideal actually, but I went to one of the nursery near here, but I couldn't really find the right one that I want to use. So,
These look beautiful.
oh, thank you. So I'm going to clean up a little bit and show you.
And then there's some people talking about dwarf columbine, or Pauline was saying dwarf columbine or polypodial ferns. And then Tanya was, Kathy J was saying alpine strawberry are some interesting Colorado species.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, that is good too.
Yeah,
Nice
very
strawberry.
nice.
Yeah, I'm going to use some of those too. Strawberry is really.
Are there permitting or legal issues to collecting, Adam wants to know, are there permitting or legal issues to collecting shitakusa or accent plants from the natural environment?
No, you cannot collect from national park at all.
Not from national
From
park.
national
Yeah,
park.
that's period. You cannot do it.
And I think, isn't it illegal in Colorado to dig up a columbine because it's the
It
state
is
flower?
illegal, yeah.
Yeah. So Adam, I would
Sorry, we were just promoting that.
I would encourage you. I would encourage you to talk to the Forest Service or landowner before you
We're just
gather.
going to have a disclaimer. We did not just promote.
We are not
the,
promoting collecting without permission. That would be terribly
We love
irresponsible.
Colorado.
I
We,
can't.
we
Yeah.
love
someone
that
else do it.
flower. We love everything about it.
Mhm.
Respect. Nothing but respect.
So this.
Lots of love to the columbine.
Grow strong.
So this is kind of first one I finished. Yeah, I think that I like to have kind of 45 angle, and this is good. Yeah, something like this. It would be nice with this kind of wooden panel. Put it on. Nice wooden panel if you have square or something.
Like as a like a board or a surface to
Yeah.
display on. Any
Oh,
possibility
look
of
at that! I love this kind of weather.
Isn't that great?
Yes,
Oh,
something like this.
Wow.
boom. There you go.
That's beautiful.
How about that? Bam.
This one, I like to cut back. Okay, this is very nice. So this is the one, and next one I'm going to talk about maintenance. So after
So this is a
few-
spring Portland native Kusamono piece,
right?
right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So we can put this aside a little bit, and then I will do the other one.
Maintenance. People are all over the maintenance. This would be why I tuned in.
So
I clearly suck
this
at
is 2 years ago.
Is that a Tommy B?
Can you show the picture of 2 years ago I created? So you can see the picture of how.
She's like, when I created it and it was beautiful, and now it's.
no, this
grown
is
out.
still, you can see the seasonality. Look
I
at
can't
this.
believe it's only been 2 years, and you
Yeah.
think-
But just a little,
Oh,
little
really?
touch up, you know.
Troy's like, I've
so
been
that is
maintaining
the
them.
that is the picture of the Kusamono I created. 2, 4, 6, 7 plants I put it in. First, red flowering currant. And allium, I love that nodding onion that is kind of humble looking. So here's a nodding onion I put it in, pink flower. And then New Zealand windgrass and false columbine. You saw the pink flowers before in the picture, it's not here now. And then south here is the small purple, little cute, really pretty little flower, prunella, and also New York aster. So I put spring flower, spring, summer, fall, all kind of different season flower, put it in here. So I hope you enjoyed all season. Did you? You did? I wish you could send me some picture too. And also I added some sedum too. So that is what I created. So now I will show you how to taking care of this. So first, where is that go? Is that still there? Oh, yeah, I think still there. So first, you have to take care of the insect and disease kind of thing.
So that your creativity can
So
flow.
those are slugs eating all your pretty new shoot, the flowers. So take that out first. And look at this, lots of maple seedling. They will make them
Need
grow
to cut those
here.
down.
So you have to check the bottom too. Sometimes is it any? No? Yes? I think no.
that one might take your arm off.
Sometimes, slug, they hide in the bottom of the pot. And you can see their slimy kind of trail. So insect disease, and take out the dead branch or leaves. Also weed. So I told you before that Lojola, the grass, seedling, I saw pretty much every of your Kusamono. Look at this one. It looks okay right now, but this one can be really big and vigorous. So I will take all of these out too. So right now it's spring, and all this grass will start to grow. So I can take everything down so they can grow. But late summer or fall, even winter time, I just let them leave it like this a little bit, clean up first, but leave it. So you can use this for winter display with the bonsai. But whenever you do, you can take out this dead branches or leaves. And when you take this out, cut it back all the way down. So very carefully, because there's a lot of things growing in here. I love using this onion, but onion itself looks kind of wiggly and not really pretty. So I usually use with other grass, kind of hide the blending together, so it doesn't really show this messy looking. This is the last year's seed had. Seems like you had a lot of flower. And usually the seed, they just self-seed it too, just here, so they can grow more. So you can use something clean up and use this for winter display too, with the kind of seed head still living in leave the container.
So you would actually use the dead grass as a seasonal discussion, or that's expressing the season.
Yep.
And so I know Tanya had asked, how do you overwinter Kusamono?
Overwinter, same as like bonsai. Put it in the winter, unheated greenhouse is the best.
Unheated.
Yeah,
Okay.
unheated.
Okay.
Usually I separate with subtropical or tropical plants separate, and those ones need to go inside.
Okay.
But most of them, just to put it in where you put bonsai.
Okay.
but you can check the water a little more often than bonsai.
Okay.
Maybe once a week, check it. You don't have to water every week, but check if there is a need water, you can water them.
So basically what you're telling us is
I know what you're going to say.
these are bonsai. these are, I mean,
Yes.
the considerations are the same,
Yeah.
if not even a little more, which is so interesting.
Yeah, so that's why some people call this is Kusamono bonsai.
Uh-huh.
Some people say Kusamono is not a bonsai. I don't want to arguing about all these terms, but it's kind of gonna grow like bonsai.
So you're pruning out the dead now to
Yeah.
prepare for this season's growth?
So yes, I clean up a little bit, but I wish I have some little more all the seed here. So if you want to use this for winter display, you can clean up and still leave some of this brown to display. But right now it's spring, so it's time to cut it back.
Okay.
So now I'm going to cut back.
So you wouldn't clean this up in the fall. You would enjoy the winter seasonality of the composition. And then as spring is arriving, new growth is there like a indicator, like new growth is starting to grow, so we go in and prune it back? Or
Yes, you can see the new shoot coming. Some plants grow a little early too. The other one, what did I saw? Another one that is already start. Kind of. This one is not yet. This grass didn't start shoot up yet,
Okay.
but some are already did it. Those kind of things you have to be very careful to cut it back. Don't cut the new shoot.
Right. So are grasses that you're using for Kusamono, I mean, like when you think about grass in a lawn, you cut a lawn all the time and it continues to regrow.
Uh-huh.
The grasses that we're using in Kusamono, like if they start growing in the spring and we're late to cutting off the dead stuff and we cut the new growth tips, is that all the growth you get that year?
Yeah.
Or does it continue to grow like a lawn would?
If you cut it back, they will maybe more compact and more grow.
Okay.
But I usually not really cut it back much, but like carex you have, there's an example. The carex grow pretty kind of fast too. That time, you can cut it back, kind of make thin out, that looks kind of better that moment, but it will grow back right away. That time, maybe the other year, you have to pull it out and kind of divide it and put it back, old one, and maybe use the other for some other things.
Now, Mr. Kimura used to be super particular with us about the blades that cross over each other because it looked messy. He always wanted everything to be very straight.
Yeah.
Pull out the dead. Which was interesting because for the Kokufu exhibition, that happens in February, and you say the shitakusa or the kusamono is supposed to express seasonality, and we were always pulling out all of the dead pieces, like
no.
which is not, it's counter to what you're saying, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. That's very interesting. Huh. Once again, the Kokufu lets us down.
So I didn't cut back the allium. I know it looks a little messy looking. That's why I like to use the other grass to put together. But the other grass will grow, and if I cut this back, you cannot see the flower this year. So I'm not going to cut that back.
Young, Bonsai Guy wants to know what kind of tree would you show this composition with? What would you pair this with?
This one?
Yeah.
This current, the many of these are kind of, I got from this area, local, even this current is kind of, You can wire and make them lower, or if this is too tall, you can cut it. But like local, what kind of plant? What kind of tree could be
well,
good?
I mean, currant's kind of an alpine plant, right? So when you think about the alpine in the Pacific Northwest, you're talking about Engelmann spruce, subalpine fir. It has a very similar leaf construction to maybe a vine maple, so you might avoid that kind of deciduous Kusamono deciduous tree combination, so you might steer away from that. Maybe a mountain hemlock, that seems like that might really work really well for some of those.
Like a big one.
A big one, if you're going to keep the verticality. So the verticality of this, you would want to combine with a very big tree, Young? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Yeah, because it's tall.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it can be. If we want to use that smaller, you can kind of wire down kind of lower or cut it out. It depends of what you like to have. Yeah, this one, many times I wire the branch that I like to have a certain way to grow. This one kind of seems like leaning backward right now. This is the front.
Why do you see that as the front? Can you show us what you're seeing and why?
So this is the front. When I created, I choose this is the front. This from your point. I know this. There's many plants is not show up right now, but it will come. Like aster, fall, purple color flower will come up, and some other. What did I put? False columbine. There is another really beautiful pink flower blooming all around here too. So
I love it that with these compositions, there's just these like secrets depending on the season, just kind of waiting to emerge, and then they change so often.
And this is little south heel
Right.
is the little purple flower. It's already pretty in the bottom.
So midsummer, when would we see those flowers?
Fall
Fall
early
or
kind of
summer.
late spring or early summer.
Oh, awesome. I'm excited to see that.
And after you do clean up and taking care of this, many times I saw the Kusamono accent plants with the bonsai. Bonsai is really perfectly groomed, shine the pot and looks just perfect. But because of the accent plants, they just put it in without cleaning like this. I don't like that. So at least to clean up the pot. Salt mark, I usually use what is that stone, the soft stone to...
The tool eraser that gets rid of the rust?
Yeah, that to clean up the salt mark.
Oh, that'll take the calcium deposit off? Oh,
that
nice.
works. So use that to clean up that salt white kind of mark.
Troy, you want to grab the...
Do you have one?
You want to grab the olive oil and just kind of spruce
that
up
would
the
be good.
container so we can show that finished? So Young, and as far as maintenance is concerned, from what I'm gathering, you're taking out the dead when spring comes around because the dead is an aspect of expressing that winter seasonality. But say, for example, you were going to be showing a tree in the wintertime and you wanted to maintain that seasonality, you would have kept some of that dead. Would you have taken any of that dead away to clean up the presentation? You had all of the grasses that were vertical.
Right.
Just to even present it well in that state with those
In
dead...
a winter state.
In the winter state. Would you have done anything to that?
So some are not really looks good. Like a lot of people using Japanese bloodgrass. Those I usually, sometimes I cut it back all the way too, but just to pull out the brown leaves and cut it down there. So still looks nice, not with too much brown leaves.
So the maintenance that you're talking about is a lot of seasonally removing expired or spent foliage out of the plant, and that's the maintenance. Is
that branch or
dead
that
branches.
leaves?
Is there other aspects to maintenance that people need to know?
Other aspect? Like.
Just in terms of maintenance in general. Why are you so disappointed with my maintenance? I guess is what I'm trying. I'm just gonna make it personal. What am I not doing that I need to be doing?
You didn't
I didn't rotate.
clean up.
No
Yeah, you
rotation.
didn't rotate.
I didn't rotate. I didn't clean up.
You didn't clean up at all. So would you show them picture of the maybe the horsetail, feel the horsetail. So this is the wild. When we collect moss, we saw that pretty horsetail. So that
Oh, I see this everywhere.
Yes,
around
can
here.
you see everywhere? Yeah, I love that horsetail,
It's
the
really
wild
interesting.
one. And I think
gets
in
tall.
Japan, yeah,
It's
it
really
can be
tall.
tall too. How tall was it? Do you remember? How tall was it?
It was too tall.
It was
It was as tall as a horse. And
So-
as long as a tail.
so that is the horsetail on the wild. We found a really scary snake today. Yeah, this is the Kusamono I
Kusamono
created
version.
with that horse tail I created. I collect from the wild. So those from the wild.
From around
And-
here.
Huh?
From around here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where was it, Troy?
It was about a couple miles down the road.
Couple miles down the road. Troy
Yeah.
said.
Pasture. And can you just tell people a little bit about Equisetum as a species and how it's water loving? Is that?
Yes, they ecosystem love water, wet kind of condition, and I just create something at the Michael's that put it in the big kind of round container. Ecosystem like kind of little deeper, not too shallow pot. It doesn't have to hole in it because they can sit it in the water too.
Just standing water.
Yes, standing water too.
Wow.
So, but shallow pot, not really deep one. If it doesn't have hole.
Sure.
So it can be has some hole, or it can be just a suiban like. Oh no, that kind of thing doesn't really work easily. So they love that, and also I like the crane orchid, the white
Yeah.
beautiful crane orchid. They like kind of little wet, moist, that kind of place. So regular, not this kind of horsetail, but just regular horsetail you can get from garden. Those are, you can add that crane orchid too. So
And these horsetails are just all over the place
Is it?
in this area.
Yeah, we're
I see
lucky.
them
Yeah.
We're lucky.
everywhere.
Our
and the pot is really unique, so I used that pot. And another one next to picture, the horsetail we saw just ago before cleaning. Can you show the picture how that looks like?
son of,
It was a
you're
donkey.
making
Yeah,
me look
that's
bad.
the
It
one.
was a donkey before we cleaned it.
Horrible.
This
That-
is Ryan.
that is
This is
so
Ryan taking care of the
Look, we got a lot of
horsetail.
Yeah.
bonsai trees here at Mirai, cutting some
Hey,
slack.
you know, we got a lot of.
So, yeah, that is the didn't
The
do
neglected
anything. Yeah, even
greenhouse.
that old
Kusumono.
horsetail, the leaves just flopping on the top.
See-
But you can see under that new shoot coming up from the pot. I can show you that. too.
Tanya wants to know: does it spread by rhizome?
They grow like that. They kind of keep running. That
Yes.
root is really kind of scary looking too, actually. So this is the
Boom.
There we go, we got
I
it.
Boom.
cleaned.
Delivery.
Can you see this? After I cleaned that messy leaf on the top. Yeah. So I'm going to. Oh, did you already shine the pot? Oh, that's wonderful.
All shined up and
Troy shined it up.
Thank you. So I always clean up the pot after I finish.
That's a Tom.
Oh.
That's a Tom. That's a Tom
Tom
Benda
Benda.
too.
You gotta clean
You
that.
have to clean
You
that
gotta-
up. It's disrespectful to
with,
not clean a Tom Benda.
With
Gold,
virgin olive oil from
fresh
the
pressed
highest
from the Mediterranean.
from the highest mountaintops in Italy.
Dang it, he's so good. He is so good. It's crazy, right?
he's,
And
yeah.
then put
Tom,
some
we
moss,
love you.
replace
Tom.
the moss wherever you need.
So, I mean, basically, Young, as you've been sitting here humoring us with all of our stupid questions about Kusamono, you're kind of like creating this little magic landscape up on the work pedestal. This is pretty impressive. Can you tell people a little bit about what you're doing right now?
I am putting it on the, after you finish the cleanup, replace the moss because some spot moss is kind of died out.
Matt has a good question.
Yes.
Matt, he asked, can you explain corm and bulb maintenance in terms of accent plants?
Explain what kind of-
Corm and bulb maintenance.
Oh, corm is the like little bulb, like small. Sometimes I use those too. So early spring, you can add those. When you create it, you can put that little bulbs or combs inside. Or it's spring already, so you cannot really do right now. But fall, make some. If you want to put some little early spring, some kind of flower you want to have, you can use like this kind of tool to give some space, like slice the soil carefully, and then put them inside. Fall.
And so you do that in the fall.
Yeah.
How do you maintain them?
Or just leave them in here, and then springtime they will come.
So once you put them in there,
No,
let them
nothing.
expand and proliferate, and you don't need to touch them.
No, just to leave it there.
And their growth eventually dies, and then you just take the dead stuff off
Yeah.
and wait for them to grow again.
Right.
Okay.
But sometimes it's better to leave the leaves, even though they are finished the flower, so they can get some photosynthesis to make some food
To build up the energy,
build up
yeah.
for next year.
Cool.
So then when the flower is done blooming, is there maintenance do you need to go in there and remove the
Flowers, the deadhead.
the deadhead? Is that something that
depends on too. Like this flower, it doesn't really show much, but some flower has really cool seed pod. I like to see those kind of things too sometimes. So I can just leave them. It depends on what do you think that looks pretty. If that is not really bothers you, I will leave it. So I can enjoy that seed pod fall time display. You can see those plants.
So, I mean, inside of Kusamono, there is a lot of freedom here, it sounds like. I mean, you're really not saying this is how you do Kusamono. You're basically saying, if you enjoy the fruiting or seed structure of a plant, you don't necessarily need to deadhead or remove the flower or the seed pod. You can leave it and use that as another seasonal insinuation to show the timing of the year. So you're really kind of pulling on every opportunity inside of these grasses and these flowering plants and these fruiting plants. You're pulling on every single phase of their growth to show that timing of year as a display element. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay, interesting.
I feel like Kusamono is like bonsai for the impatient because you just get change and reaction so quickly. You don't have to wait 5 years to see a change. Like you can see the season.
Certainly when you compare it to like coniferous bonsai,
Right,
like
right.
a pine where you get you get like old needle shed.
You're like, cool, I just rewired it, now I'll just wait
and it looks
till
similar.
my next decade just see what happens.
Looks similar to it did before I wired it, and
whereas like each month your Kusamono could look different. And
well, and Young, I mean, going back to the piece that you created for us this evening, you're saying that there's seasonal interest. The plants that you selected are offering interest at different times of year. And that's a strategy that you're using. Like it's one of them's going to flower at this time, another one's going to flower at this time, this one's going to have seed pods at this time. Are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I do. So when I create something, I can see all 4 seasons. So that I'm always in my mind. I'm thinking that.
that takes such an intense knowledge of each plant that you're incorporating.
Basically, Kusamono isn't messing around.
Yeah.
You're
You're
actually you're talking about the same degree of understanding as bonsai takes, but you're putting
with
multiple plants together.
Wow. To really create an ecosystem.
My understanding is deepening by the minute.
So I added some moss. I want to save for next one.
Very,
So
very cool.
this is I kind of wanted to wire
Here,
this.
do you want me to wire it real quick?
Yeah.
You really gave
Wait.
me a hard time with my wiring of Kusamono last time, but I'm going to go for it again because I feel confident that I can execute this
Do
time.
you remember that?
I do. I remember wiring it and having you look at me like, are you serious? And I was like, I thought I did a good job.
I wanted to wire the spear area that is kind of way offset. So when I tried to do it, he came in. So I asked him to do it. And he brought this thick wire for
Not
that
acceptable.
tiny
Not
spear
acceptable.
area. So I said, no, that's too thick. Bring another one, little thinner one. And he said, no, this is perfect for this. I said, no, we're fighting about it. And then finally he's staring at me. Young, this is my...
Young, do you ever use miniature iris?
Yes,
Kusumono?
I do.
Yeah.
I love that iris cristata. The miniature iris is really nice, perfect one for
Can I
the...
get your opinion on this?
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass myself on the live stream. Is this acceptable?
Oh, you can get thicker than this.
You want thicker?
Yeah.
I really can't win with you.
The spear area was
want it
very
just
thin
right.
and
Can you
easy.
grab the
this
screen, the mesh wire up in the greenhouse? You know, what we use for the bald cypress today.
Young, Tanya's saying she's having trouble getting miniature iris to bloom. What would be a...
Oh, she cannot get bloom because maybe she put it in the shade.
Put it in the shade.
Maybe she
Maybe,
did. So
yeah.
she need to ask her. They need the sun to bloom beautifully.
Full sun, okay.
So yeah, put it in the sun and put some fertilizer a little bit.
Fertilizer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The audience wants to know if you suggest any Kusamono books to study further.
Yeah.
The one you
Or-
haven't, the one you haven't written yet,
You
right?
just have to write yours, is really what has to happen.
I love my teacher's book, but that is out of published, so you cannot get any more. There's a lady, Maria, she's from Spain. She wrote a really nice book, but if you can read Spanish, that would
What's
be
the name?
Maria, what is her full name? It's kind of hard to
Or
pronounce.
maybe what's the name of the book? I can Google it.
We can
she,
follow up.
She
Yeah.
wrote a really nice Kusamono book, but it's in Spanish. So she's working on in English. I don't know when that will come out.
To come,
Yeah.
to be expected. What? Now you have something underneath the bench here that you were gonna.
I'm going to do one more. Oh, look at this one.
I'm gonna wire
Yeah.
while you do this.
So these Mucodinia is another wonderful Kusamono material. I love this plant. So last time I saw this one in the pot, but it was very old. It's kind of little mounded, but leaf was very tiny, small, very small. And he said he never seen flower. This one has beautiful white flower. So I divided 3 and put the other 2 pieces in this here. These all 3 pieces was in this one small pot before. But these mucodinias, they grow in the rock, on the between rock or kind of wet area, kind of moist, little shade, that kind of place, partial shade. So I put it in these 2 on the rock and put it back the other 1/3. I think they're still doing very well, and maybe a few years later, you will see the flower too. But what I found this one is it's kind of so, lots of them, I don't know how you watered. You have to water with a soft thing, because I saw a lot of things soil washed out. See, look at this.
It rains a lot here in Portland.
I'm feeling worse and worse about myself.
This is a unique experience watching
No.
Ryan on the hot seat.
Listen, look, I'm not a Kusamono expert, okay? Like, Kusamono is not my strength, so I'm learning here too. It's amazing, and thank you. I I got a new appreciation for what you do, Young. I love it.
So
Okay, can you give me? Is that good? Is that
do you-
better?
That's good. And
Can I cut here?
yes,
Okay, I'm gonna turn that.
you can shape this.
No, you shape it.
Oh no, you're the bonsai.
No.
You're the owner.
You wanted it
and
wired.
bonsai.
I wired it. I
I
did my
think
job.
now he
did my
is
job.
paying me back, giving me a hard time.
I do like this plant though, and this is an extremely old plant
Yep.
that you divided. When you cut it apart, it was actually, when I originally acquired it, it had been grown in a singular container for a long time and had mounded up and was giving you that kind of really aged Kusamono look. I was actually quite apprehensive when you cut it in half, but I'm relieved now because I like it on the stones. It's beautiful.
Yes, I like it too. And you have a really nice stone.
It feels like every time you come and work here, these like really super humble, not at all showy plants become so much more valuable.
Super intriguing.
Really interesting, and it's just like, that little thing that didn't draw my attention before now means something.
And such an interesting contrast to all the big, bold trees we have around, to just have these really dainty, like just teeny tiny blooms of things. It's a really interesting contrast.
I'm pretty hyped on Kusamono at the moment, Young.
Young,
Oh,
Bonsai Guy wants to know what inspired you to master Kusamono.
what inspired me?
Yes.
This,
To pursue this art.
So since when I was little, I always loved to explore nature. But I grown up my whole my life in the city. I didn't really, I didn't have any relative in the country. But I always wanted. And when I was young, my father he took us a lot of kind of short trip, and I really enjoyed it. Kind of living in the city, but dream about it. In my presentation, I kind of find out a few weeks ago, I looked through my old pictures when I was little. I was in the kind of mountain or somewhere picking the flowers or those kind of things. You will see when you come to my presentation. I added those kind of my very young pictures in the wild. Since when I was little, I'm really interested in. And in my house in Seoul, Korea, we had nice garden, really pretty garden, and also Japanese style house. We had shoji, door, and tatami room. We have 5 rooms, but two has tatami room. So I think I grew up a little bit those kind of influence with Japanese culture too, even I'm Korean, and also appreciate beautiful plants and garden, even though I never worked at the garden when I was young.
Would you say that Kusamono is your way of bringing those trips to the outdoors that your father took you on, bringing that experience closer to you then?
Yeah, but that is not only thing. I always kind of dream about it. That's kind of being in the nature. But that Kusamono, what I found was at the National Arboretum Bonsai Museum when I started volunteering. But I didn't know anything about gardening or bonsai, not even bonsai. I didn't know anything about it. But when I worked there, I learned about this little beautiful, humble-looking little flowers and plants in the little pot. I was really fascinated. I wanted to learn how can I make this? How can I create this? But there is no one I can really find in America to learn this art form. But one day, my director of the arboretum, he introduced me to Mrs. Yamane. She's one of the one. So, but she cannot speak English or Korean, so I had to learn Japanese first before I go to Japan to learn this art form.
Oh.
So,
이네.
it was a great experience. I learned this art form from her. It was good.
Yeah, very cool. So just to kind of recap here, so we're closing in on 2 hours, and Young, you just killed the game here tonight.
Just blowing us away.
You're just blowing us away, like a super interesting designy, super hardcore designy.
And horticultural.
Taking the 2D to the 3D, offsetting that planular design, dealing with the orientation of plants to insinuate direction, combining things, thinking about 5-10 years down the road, coming back, renovating a piece, which I do have to put this, I think you still need to put movement into this. Yeah. We're waiting.
So this is the front, and this tree is kind of, I usually print the space in the front and put nothing in the middle. So I put a little bit backward and on the left side. And I like to have, probably, because since this tree is planted in the back this way, bonsai is supposed to be, I think, here. So when I think that, this one should move this way, right?
Okay.
So this is toward this way, but put bonsai and this, if this is the back or front, this is the bonsai.
Okay.
If you put in this front, I'm not good at this.
Yeah, you're good. You were like moving it around and you had it just the way you want it. Now it'll stay.
No, I don't know. I usually not do this.
All right, here we go.
You
You ready? You want it headed that way?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go here,
Okay.
there, and I'm going to go there. Okay, how's that?
Zigzag. Ooh.
Whoa.
Very nice, very nice.
Yes.
No, so now you can go a little more. You want a little more movement here? Okay, so we'll take out some of that and go some of there.
Wow, that looks good.
Yeah? Yeah?
So the
Great.
face is facing you right
Redeemed
now.
myself right there. Right
There we
there.
go.
Huh? Owning it. So what?
Ryan always has to have the last word.
No, but tonight I needed to do that because we were headed down the wrong road. What else do you got for us?
So this one I created last year. I love this rock. This fern grow in the just regular pot. It wasn't. This is kind of unique and it looks very old, nice fern. So I put it in this rock around, kind of wrap around, and put it on this.
Jim Grimmel.
This is really beautiful, just perfect here, but too thin for this rock. So I like to put this in this kind of interesting pot. That's what I'm going to do. But when I put this one, because since I put in the flat, I wire them. So I have to cut the wire in the bottom first. And then pull that out. Oh, this is very beautiful, but fragile.
So,
Kathy, I got the chat back in my hands, you guys. So look out, Kathy. I appreciate the kudos on the wiring. I do feel redeemed. I feel like I regained my platform of, and then definitely Pierre's pot, Tanya. I love it. One more chore for Troy. Nice. Oh, Young,
Yes.
are there any equivalents for Kusamono? Like with bonsai, we look at the Kokufu albums and we're like, this is the holy grail of bonsai, right? Are there any books that show Kusamono at a super high level of refinement and like something that would give people, this is what you're trying to create. This is what you're trying to grow a Kusamono
Oh yes,
into.
there it is actually. The 4-season bonsai?
4 Seasons of Bonsai?
Yes, that book has wonderful kusamonos there.
Boom.
I want to try lots of them in the book, But I'm horticulturist. I'm in charge in National Arboretum Seed Bank. I'm seed specialist. So that's my job. I'm pretty busy with my work, and this is my hobby and teaching classes. You can go to my website, kusamonochoe.com. You can see all my pictures.
Wait. What is that?
Kusamonochoe.com.
Kusamono
Choe.
CHOE?
Mm-hmm.
Choe .com.
Yeah, you can find it easily.
Boom. Matthew, you're welcome. That was a super, super good question, P.S. Yeah.
So this art form is practiced also in China, correct?
Pardon me?
Is Kusumono practiced in China?
I kind of wanted to know. I finally find out they do have Kusamono too, but I haven't seen much. But lately I saw the Steve something guy.
What would it be called?
He showed me. I don't know.
Something totally different.
Yeah,
I mean, Penjing to
yeah.
bonsai. But you also have to understand that Penjing to bonsai is a cultural as well as a practice shifts. And then, Young, there was a question way back in the stream where somebody said, is Kusumono a viable business? And would you ever? Oh, that's a grand improvement.
Do you
Holy
like
moly!
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider doing Kusumono professionally?
I do. I really want to do one day.
Soon. One day soon.
Hope so.
We're pushing her hardcore.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Yeah. So my dream, I really want to. I love my job too. Actually, at the Arboretum, that's my specialty, and I'm really good at. I don't think my boss want me to go, but that's my dream.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a little Kusamono studio, so I can teach. I can also grow all the plants. I have lots of seed. I don't have much food in my refrigerator, but I have lots of seed.
Nice.
So I
just eat moss
collected
here
the
as
wonderful, beautiful seeds, wildflower seeds. So I want to propagate them. I'm propagator too. I work at the Arboretum as propagator too. So I want to propagate them. So provide the reasonable, practical Kusamono material. That's my dream because I'm
In Portland,
always
Oregon.
having very hard time to find the right plants for the workshop. Every time I feel, honestly, I always feel sorry for them because I cannot really provide wonderful material, good, reasonable materials. When you go to nursery, they sell gallon, 2-gallon pots. We deal with a small pot. And especially wildflower, grass, those kind of things is really hard to find. I know which one could be good to use for Kusamono. So I have a long list. I have lots of seeds. So one day
I'm telling you, this is a super duper viable business opportunity.
Don't listen to him.
In Portland, wait, what? In Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. If you're gonna make it anywhere in the United States right now,
That's true, actually.
look, terrarium.
There's terrarium shops.
Terrarium
like,
shops
up
that
the
make
inn.
terrariums are killing the game.
So many terrarium shops.
Rich, I know you want her to stay by you in Virginia, Maryland.
Too bad.
I don't know that you're
We're
going to get that done,
trying to bring everyone
homie.
to
I
Oregon.
just don't know that you're going to get that done. Aaron Packard is saying, Young Choe, you got to move out here. Brandon
Putting the
is
pressure
seconding that. Matthew is saying the Shanghai Botanical Garden. Troy, going back to what you were saying about China, the Shanghai Botanical Garden are working hard to promote companion plants.
Oh, they do.
So, and Aaron is pushing hard for you to get out here, Young.
Yeah.
Hector, it's the 4 Seasons of Bonsai. The 4 Seasons of Bonsai
Yes.
is what
The book.
is the name of the book. There you go. 4 Seasons of Bonsai. And Young says that there's some really inspirational pictures of beautiful Kusumono showing that seasonal insinuation. This has been rad, you guys.
Yeah.
William says, Young, your website is beautiful, and Hector appreciates your knowledge. And Rich is saying he's taken your refrigerator hostage, so you can't leave Virginia/Maryland.
Oh no, the seeds.
Yeah, and Arthur just gave everybody on the chat the link to the Four Seasons of Bonsai by Murata, very famous bonsai professional who also understands the aesthetic of seasonal display, which is beautiful.
Wow.
Well, I feel
Look at this little menagerie.
rich with Kusamono at the moment. And for everybody that's on the Tier 1 subscription, if you guys are still tuning in and you guys want to see this archive video, you can upgrade to Tier 2 if you're in the Tier 2 subscriptions and you guys want to see
some tertiary content.
Keep in mind, tertiary content. We've been filming Young over the entire course of the day. Maintenance of Kusamono, improvement of Kusamono, seeing again her soil concoctions, watching Young create, and she speaks to what she's doing in the tertiary videos that are going to be up on Mirai Live Thursday afternoon. We'll send you guys an email to remind you that those archive videos and those tertiary pieces of content are up, but you guys are going to want to check that out. I didn't have a chance to look at it, so I'm going to be tuning in on Thursday to check it out and further improve my Kusamono skills. But pretty impressive what Young has done for us in a single day at Mirai.
I think I'm sold. I think I'm more sold on Kusamono than bonsai.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're in?
Yeah.
Kendall,
I think this is my thing.
Kendall, maybe this is
I
your
think I
role at
found
Mirai. There you go.
I think I like the.
There you go. A transition from the man about town to Kendall.
Yeah.
You know what? Go deep. Yeah. And Junior is seconding that motion.
Yeah.
He's into Kusamono. Young, you're literally creating Kusamono fanatics.
Kusamono cult.
Like as you're working. It's amazing. Live. Right.
Yeah, what's the T-shirt now? It says, "Young is my Kusamono master."
Oh, Kathy asked if you're gonna have some time to do the moss ball.
Oh, sure.
Is that something you're interested
Yes,
in?
we can
Kathy,
do it.
stick around. We're just going. We're just rolling.
We have people for that.
Tanya's into the moss ball too. Tanya, you're on the East Coast, and you just got home from Mirai. You've got to be exhausted.
Oh, she's the one.
Oh, is Tanya in class?
Yeah, Tanya was in class this past weekend, and it's Tuesday night, so she's been home all of a day. Amazing. Full cake on my way. Brandon, come on out. It's waiting for you. Busy Brewed Beer, Mirai beer.
Brandon, please help
Join
us.
us.
Guest Aspen is saying, do the moss ball, please. They're stoked on the moss ball.
I want to
Okay, you
see
got
the
it.
moss
I want
ball.
to see the moss ball.
It's coming up.
Kokedama all up in this place.
How do you pronounce it right?
Koke is
Koke?
moss,
So Young,
Okay.
do we
and then Dama
Dama.
do we
is
find the
ball.
right tile for you to
Kokedama.
do the moss ball?
Is that like
Oh,
Or
a
was that
Dama?
pot okay?
Yeah, that part is.
Is that related?
Okay.
Okay, great.
I'm sure the kanji
Uh,
for Kokedama and Akedama
similar.
is similar, and I'm assuming that the kanji is tsuchi, which is soil, which would more like earth, right? But I can't. My knowledge of kanji is not where it needs to be. Tanya, you're a trooper. Way to stay in
Okay.
it.
What's this pot? Is this another?
Kathy, staying in after
Is
10.
this
I'm
another
proud of you.
So
So this pot is another Tom Benda, y'all,
Yeah.
and we talked about we talked about the strength of Jan Rentinar and the onagama wood fired in the arched kilnway. Well, Tom Benda is from the Czech. We have a sole distributorship for Tom's pots in North America, so we carry a lot of them. Bonsai Mirai web store, but Tom also wood fires, which when you see Tom's pots, one side of the pot will have an entirely different color than the other because the flame hits that side of the pot. The
wood fired as opposed to
gas or
gas
electric.
or electric.
Yeah, and so when you have gas or electric, you have a lot more consistency of color across the entire container. When you wood fire it, you get that magic. And actually, Young, can you do what you just did and tilt that up
Okay.
and show the surface of that container, Arthur or Ricardo, whoever gets the best, just to see the variation of color on the upper surface like you showed, Young? Yeah, that is the strength of wood-fired pots.
Yeah, this is green, and
Yeah.
here is the brownish.
Yeah, and this is the difference where flame and ash are hitting the container and changing the nature of the glaze and the way it interacts. That's really where you get the magic of wood-fired. And again, a pot in a wood-fired kiln is a one-of-a-kind, never reproducible piece. And Tom Benda, the pots that we've got right now,
Those just showed up, yeah?
just showed up.
Yeah.
We shot 4 of them, put them on the website. 3 of them sold immediately.
Yeah, Young and I just saw that today and was like, yeah.
Let's do that.
We're gonna go with
Let's
that.
do that.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Bonsai guest Aspen is Tom Engelwitz. Yay, Tom! Thanks for tuning in from Boulder.
So this is done. You can display something, I don't know, on the wooden panel.
Wow.
Yeah. And Tanya asked, is that the natural growth habit for that fern young?
This fern,
Yeah.
don't know much about this one.
Okay.
Do you know? It's
I
yours.
don't know.
It's
It
yours.
looks like
It
it's
looks
old.
pretty
It
natural.
looks very old.
It looks very old. I think we got a little bit of a ringer there, a gem, an aged Kusamono. Troy's nodding his head yes. I think we got a really old Kusamono piece in a nursery container. And actually where Young got that was right down the road from where we're at Bonsai Mirai at Joy Creek Nursery. And they grow and propagate all their own stuff. They're nationwide known. When I was there last time, they had a group of students from Baylor University in Texas that were here studying the way that they propagated and cultivated their
that's
trees. Brandon,
That's
you love
good.
that planting. I love
More
that
than good.
planting. I'm super stoked that it's going to be a part of Mirai's Kusamono collection that I have a duty to take care of better, and I'm going to pass that duty on to Kendall.
So I'm making moss ball, like, where is the sample? Like this. I put it on this. Do you have a tile? That would be nice. Put it on the tile.
Yeah, I got a tile. Hang
You
on.
do? Mhm. So in the bottom, I use this kind of plastic mat. When you cut this, I learned something like, usually I made this mat square, but it's better to have something a little bigger or different shape. So I will start with this.
So this is actually kind of a special little
Oh,
piece. Do you know
Okay.
this?
Yes, I do. I have one.
Is it Bob or Don?
Don.
Don
His name
Gould.
is Don. He's
Don
from
Gould.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, this
He passed
keystone.
away.
Yeah.
He cannot make this
Ricardo,
anymore.
can you show that? So Don Gould, this was a gift from John Cottagio, who's been a big supporter of Mirai. And Don Gould was a ceramicist on the
Pennsylvania.
in Pennsylvania on the East Coast,
Pittsburgh.
and worked extremely hard with Jim Doyle from Nature's Way. They had a business together. Don Gould actually passed away helping somebody change their tire on the side of the highway. A car hit him while he was assisting somebody changing a flat tire, and that's how he perished. But this is a Don Gould piece that's going to be super cool for Young to create something really beautiful for. So enjoy that.
So this is small. So I have to make something very small in this tray. So but like the other, what is it? Like this one, I start with this kind of big screen and wire them. Where is it? So anything
I just normally just cut through it.
you do?
By the time you get to the end of the row, you've got like 8 or 9 ends.
So we're making a moss ball. What's going on?
So usually, he brought this one, so I'm going to make moss ball on the top of this tile.
Yep.
But usually I make moss ball on the screen. Wire them. So I will show you that tricks. So something like this, cross. Oops. So two different ways. You can make on the tile like this, but or if you don't have that, I can make moss ball on the top of this screen. So.
So when you make these moss balls, you can pretty much put any plant on them? Or is there some that you kind of veer away from?
Yeah.
There's no
I
rules,
think you
Troy.
can.
Well, I'm just,
No, I'm just
you know, from experience, you may not want to put a, I don't know, fruitless mulberry in one.
Right.
So I have to put the soil, mock soil on the bottom first. I like to cut that tip. If you put it in here, you can put the soil, mock soil on the top. And then find the plants. I have to find something more that I will use. So take off the soil.
Are moss balls kind of a new invention?
Yeah, is it new?
New? Is it kind of like?
No, I don't know. I learned this from my teacher, how to make this moss balls.
And how do you say moss balls in Japanese?
Kokedama.
Kokedama?
Kokedama.
Yeah, koke is moss, dama is ball. So I'm going to cut it using this or this.
William's asking for an overhead shot, Arthur. We're having issues with the overhead shot, William. 20 seconds.
Maybe this is too big. Try use this little one. I can use this little one. This one may be too big. And then I like to use this one in the front. So when you put this one after you place, you can use mock soil to add.
So you mound up.
Not really mound up, but make them stay stable. The way you want to put it in. And I like to add this in the front. make just something very simple, small one. Because if you add moss, it's kind of get bigger and thicker. So don't put too much plants in it. So this is the front. Can you see it? So I place the plant, and then I put some mock soil on the top.
So you put muck soil to kind of get it situated, and then that's what you use to before you put the moss on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't do this, you don't get this muck in between your hands and roll it into a ball then, huh?
Rolling the.
You know, like,
I don't want to put too much. I can thin out a little bit later. So after you put that on, I like to use this sheet moss. Not easy. I think this is really great for making round one, but I will use small, tiny moss.
if you didn't have a tile, is there something else you could use?
Just any dish, kind of plate, nice shape, nice kind of style, or some kind of ceramic dish. You can put it on there.
Could you use like a slab of wood? Was that?
Oh, if you know wood, you have to use tile first. Put it on the tile and then use the wood.
Can you make the moss balls without any, just like a ball itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
I make that's called kokedama. On my website, there is a kokedama website. You can see. But most of bonsai doesn't really like it, but garden club people love that, making kokedama. That's really round the ball.
That's one you do between your hands, right?
Still not really.
Tom wants to know what's a good source for sheet moss.
Oh, where he live?
Where you live, depending on where you live.
Where he live?
Where does he live at?
Where does Tom live? Tom?
Oh, Tom, Colorado?
Tom Engelwitz.
Yeah, Colorado.
Colorado. Probably not a lot of sheet moss there.
Colorado is kind of not easy to find a good moss, isn't it?
Yeah, not a good moss zone.
Yeah, he should move to here.
Just come here, Tom. Everyone, come to Oregon. Get the moss.
Yeah, take the pressure off Californians that move here.
William noticed that you're basically just building a kind of mound of muck around the plants. Are you manipulating the roots in any special way, or?
I just tucked in all the.
Just tuck them in.
Yeah, in there, because I put it on the tile. But if I put it on here, I will do different way. I don't know if I could do that one too. This is kind of same, almost the same as like what I did here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it has
Something
a
like
similar
that.
look to it.
Similar
Yes.
look to it. So, but maybe I can show you. Maybe I should finish this first. So put moss everywhere, all around.
When you make the like kokedama ball, do you just use that sheet and kind of? Is that what you use to make the ball out of? Is you kind of?
This kind of mat.
Yeah, that mat.
So I just briefly made on this top, but I will touch up later. But before I go that far, I want to show. This one I just made it actually yesterday. I can show you.
Oh wow, you can just take it off like that.
It was. Look at this. The bottom is matte. Can you see?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So this is made with like this with wire, and I will unfold the moss because I just put it on. So like I can pull out all the moss. This is how I made up. So put it on this flat.
Wow.
And
It's like the Phantom of
build
the
up
Opera here. You
this.
know, take the mask off. It's like,
just took
put the
the
mask
mask
back on, please.
I didn't realize it was that
Yeah, it is. So
separate.
it is.
Does
So
it grow
you-
together later? Is it just because you made this yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Okay.
You cannot pull that moss
can't,
like
okay.
this
I was gonna
easily,
say, that's
but
like
I just made it, so
next
you
level.
can do this. And I like
Don't
to
try
have
this at home.
something shaped little different, not perfect round. I like to have something little natural looking. So that is, you can cut this mat in the bottom, little different shape.
Can you take a little more off the right?
Or you can make this side a little
Troy,
lower.
you can make your moss balls however you
Oh,
want.
there's no rules, right?
There's no rules.
something like this. And then put this coat on. But I like this moss.
You're just
so
changing the moss,
I
changing
can
the
change
coat.
the moss.
What kind of flower is that? I think we talked
This
about
is
it
the
earlier.
Pulsatilla.
Porsatilla.
Yeah, Pulsatilla. Pulsatilla. The seed, after finish the flower, the seed head is really pretty.
Is there a common name for that?
I don't know the common name. What is the common name for this?
Pask flower?
Yes, that's right. That's
Pask?
common name. Mm-hmm.
Pask.
Pask.
Pask flower like Easter?
P-
No, I'm saying the wrong. Sorry.
P-A-S-T?
P-A-S-Q-U-E.
Pask.
If you have black thread, I sometimes use black thread to tie them up.
To tie the moss
Yes,
up with the...
so moss can stay above. So you usually use cotton so they can kind of disagree it.
Until they kind of become one.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
So
And in terms of like caring for this, watering it, what are special situation or considerations you have to have
this
with
one?
the moss ball?
Moss ball is pretty much same.
Pretty
just
much the
water
same.
as the same as others. I like to use this little flower too. Anyway, this is how you can make it and then put it on the tile. That kind of this one. But we
So
don't
you
have
said that moss likes kunuma. So would you sprinkle that ball with kunuma to kind of encourage the? I mean, is that a little bit going out of the box?
Maybe I haven't done that, but I don't know how much it help. Maybe that might help because that's an acidic. Lots of things you can do, like coffee, grinded coffee.
Ooh, we got lots
That is the acidic too.
So just to recap, you use like a cotton string to tie the moss down to the soil?
Yes. Or you can make the pin.
You can make the little pins.
Yeah, little pin to kind of press.
Can we
like-
see those pins? I see you using those a lot. Maybe we could close up on them.
Oh, just regular wire. You can cut and bend it U shape, and then just press them down like this. Make them hold.
Is there any maintenance on those pins?
That's my teacher showed me how to kind of moss stay in here, but sometimes using black thread to tie them works pretty good too.
So if the moss doesn't make contact with that muck, would it eventually just dry up and die?
No, they contact. They
So the
grow
contact
on
is important.
Yeah, they grow on the soil, on the top of the muck. So that's it.
Beautiful, Young.
Thank you.
Are you happy with it? This is the question.
I have to see my video myself so I can tell.
Ah.
She's like, I just want to get off screen.
Can you shut the cameras off, please?
I wish I could have a little better plant material I can kind of create.
It was a tough time of year, yeah. Things aren't quite growing yet. Options are limited. I think it's pretty safe to say you maxed it out, though.
Thomas wants a close-up of that little fern on the rock. Could we make that happen?
We'll
Awesome.
we'll end the stream with a close-up on the fern, Thomas. And I think. Do you feel good? Do you feel good calling it, Young?
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
we can.
Did our thing?
So how was
Thank
it?
you, everyone, for joining
Yeah.
us tonight.
Yeah. So you guys got to see Kusamono creation. You got to see Kusamono improvement. You guys got to see Kusamono maintenance and this whole discussion of this world that I think all of us were entirely uneducated about prior to this evening. Young, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
They're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God, we love you.
Yay.
Thank you guys so much. Next Tuesday, tune in, and we love you very much. Appreciate your support. Young Choe, kusumonocho.com. Check it out.